Have you ever walked into a room and felt your energy instantly drop? It wasn't the lighting, it wasn't the temperature, it was the sheer weight of things. We live in an age of accumulation. Every object on your shelf, every paper on your desk, every unread notification. They are not just static objects, they are distinct inputs, demanding your attention. Psychologists call this visual noise. And just like a loud radio that you cannot turn off, it drains your battery, slowly, constantly. You might feel a sudden urge to clear it all away, to sweep the surfaces clean, to see empty space. Society tells you this is just tidying up, or perhaps a design preference. But you know deep down, it feels more urgent than that. It feels like a gasp for air. You're not trying to clean your room, you're trying to quiet your mind. You are craving a silence that the modern world has forgotten how to give you. But why is the act of releasing an object often so painful? Why do we hold on to a ticket stub from 10 years ago? Or a shirt we haven't worn in 5 seasons? It is not because of the utility of the object, it is because of who we think we are. There is a concept in psychology known as the extended self. It suggests that our possessions are not just external matter, they are scaffolds for our identity. We project our memories, our past versions, and our future hopes onto physical things. When you look at that old book, you don't just see paper and ink, you see the person you were when you first read it. So when you try to throw it away, your brain registers a threat. It feels like you are deleting a piece of your soul. This is why clutter persists. We are afraid that if we remove the evidence of our past, we might cease to exist. But here's the science behind the relief. Every object you own commands a fraction of your cognitive load. Your brain, ancient and protective, maps your environment constantly. It tracks the pile of mail. It tracks the broken chair. It creates a background static, a low-level anxiety that spikes your cortisol. When you finally clear the space, you are not just removing matter. You are closing open tabs in your brain. You are reclaiming the energy that was being siphoned off by the inanimate. You are proving to yourself that you exist without the props. Let us go deeper into the why. For many, minimalism is not born from a love of design. It is born from a need for armor. Look at the world outside your window. It is chaotic, it is loud, it is profoundly unpredictable. We live in an economy of uncertainty, surrounded by events we cannot influence and people we cannot change. When the macro world feels overwhelming, the human mind seeks a micro world it can govern. Psychologically, this is a coping mechanism for anxiety. If you cannot control the chaos out there, you will ruthlessly control the chaos in here. This is where the clean lines and empty surfaces become a fortress. When you strip a room down to its essentials, you are building a perimeter. You are creating a zone of total predictability. In this space, nothing catches you off guard, nothing is lost, nothing is hidden. It is a sanctuary of absolute agency. For those who have experienced trauma or periods of high instability, minimalism often becomes a way to self-soothe. A messy room can feel like a threat. It implies a lack of vigilance. It implies that things are slipping away. But an empty room is honest. It offers no surprises, so do not judge yourself if you feel a panic when things get messy. It is your mind trying to reestablish your footing. You are not just organizing your home, you are anchoring your reality. We spend years building a facade. We curate our lives, not for our own enjoyment, but for an invisible audience. We buy the guitar to signal that we are creative. We buy the expensive jacket to signal that we are successful. We fill our shelves with books we will never read to signal that we are intellectual. These objects become costumes. They allow us to play a character. But inside, beneath the layers of accumulation, there is a faint, steady pulse. This is your internal signal. It is who you actually are. When no one is watching, the problem is, the signal is quiet, and the clutter is loud. The static of your possessions often drowns out the voice of your intuition. When you are surrounded by things that represent who you want to be, you lose touch with who you are. This is why true minimalism feels dangerous to the ego. It strips away the costumes. It removes the props that support your persona. If you remove the bookshelf, Are you still a scholar? If you remove the accolades, are you still worthy? Minimalism forces a confrontation. It leaves you alone in the room with yourself. For many, this is terrifying. We keep the clutter because we are afraid of what we might find in the silence. But for the seeker, this is the breakthrough. When the static clears, the signal becomes undeniable. You stop performing. You start being. You realize that your value is not a collection of assets. It is an internal state of being. Ultimately, minimalism brings us face to face with the void. In art, there is a concept called negative space. It is the empty area around the subject that gives the subject definition. Without the empty space, the image is just a blur. Without the silence, the music is just noise. We are culturally conditioned to fear the void. We see an empty shelf and we think, lack. We see an empty schedule and we think, boredom. We rush to fill it. But this is a mistake. The void is not nothing. The void is potential. It is the pregnant pause before a new idea is born. When you clear your physical world, you are reclaiming your autonomy. You're deciding that your attention is too valuable to be sold to the highest bidder. You're deciding that your peace is worth more than their products. True luxury is not having more. True luxury is needing less. It is the ability to sit in an empty room and feel completely whole. It is the realization that you are not the container waiting to be filled. You are the space itself, limitless, open, and free. If you have found peace in letting go, or if you are still afraid of the silence, tell me your story in the comments. We are listening.